Hi, Martina. I can't.
Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing?
We're fine. Hi, Tara.
Hi. Happy spring.
Hello, everyone. Felice.
Hi, Felice.
It would be nice to see you.
Hi, Celeste. Hi, Odette. Hi, Jay.
Hi. You want to see me? I'm
Hi,
traveling.
Alicia. Hi, Khalid.
Okay.
Hi, Martina. Did we miss anybody? Odette, I see. Khalid, Debbie, Fred.
Hello, everyone.
Alicia,
Okay.
Felice.
Okay, so good evening. It's 10 after. I'm not sure where. It's now 7:10. I'm not sure where the other committee members are, if they're running late, but we should get started at least. So I will call the meeting to order at 7:10. And we can get started. Let's see where my information is here. And Khalid,
Yes.
can I ask you to take some notes for us, please?
Okay.
Okay, so we normally would get some words of encouragement from Bishop. She's not on. I know that she does have a family crisis going on. I'm not sure if she is going to be on shortly, so we'll continue for now. Go on to our introductions. So my name is Debbie Timothy, and I'm the chair of the Environmental Protection Committee for CB9. And Teresa, you can go ahead and introduce yourself since you're one of our committee members.
Hi, I'm Teresa. I'm a member of the Environmental Protection Committee as well as a CB9 member. Last year I was a member of the Environmental Protection Committee as well, but as a community member. So now I'm a board member as well. And just here to serve the community, learn and grow and get some business done. Looking forward to hearing from everyone. Thank you.
And we have the chair of CB9. I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself and thank you for joining us tonight. Good to see you.
Great to see everyone here. And I'll be very brief. I just, Fred Baptiste, for anyone who's joining us this evening. I currently serve as the chair of Committee Board 9. I just wanted to come and just join. If there's any questions I can answer or be helpful in any way, absolutely. Otherwise, I am just here to participate and see where we're going with some of the questions that are on the agenda. And I just want to thank the chair and the committee members for all your work and consideration and all those residents who have joined us this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Felice, you can go ahead and introduce yourself as a committee board member.
Hello, everyone. My name is Felice Robinson. I am with AFME District Council. I sit on the 71st Precinct Community Council. My name is Sergeant of Arms. And I'm here to serve the community and be like a watchdog, protect us all. Sorry, I'm walking up the stairs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I see Kyrie Allen, another board member on here. Oh, I guess he's probably occupied at this time. So we'll move on to our guest.
Chase is also a member.
Chase, oh, Celeste,
Yes.
are you there? Can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. It's Celeste Chase. I'm a board member, and I'm here at the meeting tonight because I know that the issues were so important to the community at our last community meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're gonna go on to our guests now. Ms. Boyd, you can introduce yourself. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Alicia Boyd. I represent the Movement to Protect the People. I am FLAC, Flower Lovers Against Corruption. It's a community-based organization, both are community-based organizations in New York, in CB9. And I'm here because of the 5G towers that are going up all over our community. And I'm
Okay.
concerned about the health and well-being of myself, the members of my group, as well as all of the other people in my community.
Okay, thank you. Next we have Victoria Martina Victoria.
Hi, I'm a member of this community and I'm here to put in a couple words about the 5G towers tonight.
Are you a community board member or you're a community resident?
I'm a resident.
Okay, thank you.
Martina, I just want to add that Martina Victoria was served on the Environmental Protection Committee with That's right. me last year. So hi,
Okay.
Martina. Yes.
Okay, thank you. We have Theodoros Parato.
Thank you. I'm excuse me. I'm Executive Director of Environmental Health Trust, and I'm really just wanted to speak a bit on the 5G towers and offer myself with any questions related to health and safety, because our organization works on the science, policy, and law around 5G and wireless issues.
Great.
Okay, we have Jay Sorid also on here.
Sure, hello. My name is Jay Sorid, and before introducing myself, I don't want to get in trouble, so I'm going to ask the board chair. Now, I'm a member of the Housing Committee. Now, Chair Baptiste, how do I refer to myself? Can I say Jay Sorid, member, a committee member of Community Board 9, Housing Committee? Can I say that as a title, or is that too much? Because you said I can't refer to myself as Community Board 9 Housing Committee member on my stationery or anything underneath it when I send it to the board. So I don't want to get in trouble. How can I refer to myself in terms of the committee? What should I say, Fred?
Can you just introduce yourself, please? That's for another discussion
You're a
outside
housing
of this.
committee member. Just say you're.
Yeah, just say that you know,
Okay.
introduce yourself.
Okay, I don't want it because there was an issue before.
Well,
Okay.
that's something different that you need to take up, or, outside of this. meeting.
I'm introducing myself. I just don't want to get reported because I was reprimanded. Okay.
Okay,
No.
I'm not aware of that, but
Okay. Fred, do you have any guidance? You want to help me out? What do I say?
You're here. My name is
Okay.
Jay Sorid. I'm on
Okay.
the Housing Committee.
All right. Thank you. Okay, got you. Because okay,
Yeah.
we hadn't. Okay, Jay Sorid. I'm on the I'm on the Housing Committee for Community Board 9. I'm also a member of the Kingsbrook Jewish Shul, so I have an interest in the shul and everything that happens in East Flatbush. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else on here that? I believe that's everyone.
No. Julia,
Right, did I
Mrs.
mention
Wilkins,
that
Mrs.
I'm on the
Wilkins has her
community
hand up.
board? I'm sorry.
Sue Savette Hamilton is here.
Okay, so Sue,
Hi, I'm Sue. I'm not a community member, but I've been talking to a lot of different boards around 5 boroughs about the Jumbo 5G, and I've learned a lot, and I just wanted to offer whatever little I've learned.
Thank you.
Sure.
okay. We have,
Julia, I see.
Hi. Hi,
Julia?
I'm Julia Bryant, and I am on the Parks and Recreation and Parks and Recreation and Culture Committee for CB9, and I'm here to support Tara and other members of this committee who would like to have further information regarding the G5 towers. And I also have personal questions regarding why this committee has not taken up this this very important topic until just this time now. I'm amazed and bemused. Thank
are
you.
you saying the committee or the community board?
The committee. This is a this
Okay,
is,
this is a commit.
This,
Okay.
ma'am, I'm gonna finish my sentence.
Okay, go ahead.
You're asking me a question. Is it the committee or the community? Well,
The community board is what I asked.
okay, no, I'm concerned that the community, that this committee and the Environmental Protection Committee has not taken this up and taken it to the board. It seems that people have been trying from this committee to take it to the board. And I weigh in as the fact of being on the Parks and Recreation Committee, where many times we would like to have something taken to the board and we were thwarted from doing so. So I'm in support of people who are trying to move things from their committee onto the community board. Thank you. That's my point.
Okay, thank you.
There's a phone number.
I see a phone number 212-734-3912.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, who am I speaking? Who are we?
Hi, this is Jill McManus, and I did want to put in a comment also relating to the 5G towers, but I'm getting a notice on my computer that says the host removed you from this meeting. You allow
Wow.
me into the meeting?
Okay, you can introduce yourself. However, we are not discussing the 5G topic at this time.
Well, I assume you have a public comment moment, don't you?
I would be happy to allow a 2-minute, comment from, the guests that's, prior to the business session.
All right, well, let me know
However,
when
we are
it's
doing
time.
introductions right now.
All right, well, now you know it's my phone number there. I'd
Hi,
like to
Jill.
join the screen. Wish that you could give me the screen back. that possible?
Khalid?
Excuse me, Miss McMahon, that's how you pronounce your name?
Yes, yes.
Yes, you said give the screen back. What do you mean?
Getting a sign when I try to join by Zoom.
Uh-huh.
Host removed you from the meeting.
Okay, yeah, I was in control of that. I removed you by accident. We've had some issues with people disrespecting our meetings. So I take full responsibility. I apologize for removing you. If you want to come back onto the Zoom, just please, when you type in your name so that we have it. But yeah, sorry about that. That was nobody but me.
How do I get back to the screen?
However you signed in originally.
Hospital change his medication at all or no?
I will
Okay,
I will
okay.
try again to disconnect from the
Yes, get
computer
off your
and
cell
start over.
phone and yeah, try to join Viva browser. All right, but you should be able to join back.
I have to go to your website. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give it a try. Thank you.
All right,
Put
see
me
you
in line
soon.
for a word. Okay.
I see Odette. I see.
LaShawn, I see a LaShawn.
Hello, good evening. Yes, my name is LaShawn. I'm a member of this community. I'm just joining on this call. You said you're just doing introductions?
Yes, so this time we're doing an introduction.
Okay, well, hello.
And did I miss anyone else?
Odette.
Odette, you can go ahead.
Yes, hi, I'm President and General Counsel of Wired Broadband, and I'm a technology attorney. I've been a technology attorney for over 20 years, and I'm here to talk about the Link 5G situation in New York City and the FCC letter against City Bridge for violating 2 federal laws before constructing the Link 5G towers. Thank you.
Okay.
And Nicola?
Anyone else that I did not?
Nicola?
Reverend Bishop Gonzalez, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Maybe she can't hear me. Can you hear me?
Okay, good evening.
Ms.
Gonzalez,
Westerdahl,
and
can
I'm a
I
member
chair
of
the
the
meeting,
board.
please? Go ahead, Bishop.
Did you hear me? Yes.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, good evening. My name is Gonzalez, and I'm a member of the board. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone, Ms. Cox?
Hi, good evening. I'm Nicola Cox. I'm a member of the ULIP committee, Community Board 9, and joining today because I'm on Sullivan Ludlam Stoddard, near the 5G tower that's on Montgomery. So just joining the conversation for tonight.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that I did not get to? Is there anyone else I didn't get to? Okay, so Bishop Gonzalez, we did not get your word, so we're going to give you an opportunity to do so now.
Yes, I'll say good evening again. It is truly admirable when we can come together as a group, working towards the advancement of our humanity, serving our community, and making sure that we are safe. We just want to ask Almighty God, as we join together in this meeting, that each one of us will be tremendously blessed, and whatever we have to offer in this conversation would be of utmost importance for the moving forward, for our health, for our community safety, for the respect of our leadership, and for the continuation of a conversation that is well needed, but also to understand the limitations that we are facing as a community. Thank you, and may God continue to bless us all.
Thank you.
Amen.
Okay, so next we have I actually did the roll call while we were introducing, so that's part of the introduction. So we're gonna move on to old business. In terms of attendance, we seem to be having somewhat of a problem. I believe that that's happening across the board. So hopefully we can get all of that resolved at some point, since we have some new members. And
Who are our new members? That wasn't clear to me. We have new members?
hopefully, Ms. Westerdahl, can I finish speaking, please? Thank you. So hopefully, as we get, our new members acclimated, we'll have a, committee, and, everyone will be able to attend the meeting as required and participate. So I'm looking forward to, the new meetings, the new board members.
Are they coming on to this committee during this year?
I did not hear anything. I didn't get any information yet, so.
Don't we have one in the fridge that's already open?
So hopefully.
Look in the fridge. I think there's one that.
Excuse me,
Can I ask
everyone.
everyone to mute their mics, please?
Oops.
Thank you.
Do we have any new members, Kyrie?
There are no new members who have been assigned to the, if I may, Madam Chair, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, there are no new members who have been assigned at this time. What's going to happen is, as we are near, we've only got a month and a half left in the board year. New members obviously can attend any meetings they wish. Committee assignments will be made in accordance with the board, board bylaws over the summer, and they will be in place by next year.
Thank you for that information, Chair. We, as a committee, we were talking about some things that we wanted to do, and in terms of the keeping the community clean, and we've been talking about it, but we have not decided exactly how we want to go about it. So we continue to discuss it. However, I think that we need to come to a consensus as to how we want to focus on those issues, or whether we want to continue with those issues and focus on other things. We do not have much time left. We're coming up to June, and so hopefully we can get to those issues for the community, and get things rolling, even if it means going on to the next person that may be chairing this committee, so we can also pass that information on if we don't get around to it. But I would encourage our members to continue to provide the issues as they come up to the community board, so that they can follow up and provide us with some updates on what come out of the from the 8 city agencies that attend the Borough Service Cabinet meetings, or the Borough Board meetings, or so we can get feedback in that way. Also, I believe that we do have some information that's outstanding that was submitted to the board. So hopefully we can get that information at some point in the near future. We do have a cleanup and walkthrough project that we were planning. We are still waiting for some feedback on that as well, in terms of the date and the location. So hopefully we can do that. And again, under old business, I just want to stress that our monthly meeting is the first Thursday of the month, and any changes to that would be communicated through the community board staff. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, so I see Ms. Boyd. I can take your question if you have one pertaining.
I don't have any questions about.
Okay, I see your hand up.
I know I was putting my hand up because I wanted to speak, but I don't really know how you are going, how you're going to proceed with allowing the community residents to speak on the 5G towers. So I just put my hand up to be in line, so to speak.
Okay, and okay, that's fine. All right, does anyone else have any questions about the old business section? Okay, so I take that as a no, because no one is responding. Thank you for your time during that part of our meeting. So we're going to move on to the new business now. So how we are going to do this, Chair, I believe that you are going to be making some, remarks on, the entire issue surrounding the 5G and the rollout and information that came to the board. Am I correct? Would you prefer that people on this meeting wishing to speak get a 2-minute speech, and then you make your remarks or comments on those questions or concerns?
Yeah, if we do that, let's give the, the residents, the community an opportunity to
Okay.
speak first. And if there's any
Okay,
information
so-
that I need to provide or clarify, we can do that in
Okay.
one shot just to do.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Okay, so we'll do that. Okay, so we are going to continue with our new business, which is the Link
Well-
NYC 5G.
I would like to make a motion. When can I do that?
Can we have the residents speak and then the chair make the remarks? And then we can talk about anything after that, Teresa?
So
Okay.
I want
Thank
to
you.
put a motion on the floor.
Okay, so who is first?
For the,
Teresa, can I chair this
Okay.
meeting, please? Thank you.
Hmm.
Can I ask you to mute yourself at this time? Thank you. So I see 4 hands up. I believe Ms. Boyd, are you first in line?
I think I just need a little clarity. It's my understanding that you are going to allow the residents to first speak, and then there's going to be a discussion. And then Ms. Westerdahl will be able to place her motion on the floor. Is that correct? How this is going to?
After, once the chair makes his remarks or answers the questions based on what our guest is asking or discussing, we can talk about anything else after that.
And will you be allowing the members to place a motion on the floor?
Ms. Boyd, can we move on with?
I'm just trying to figure out how this meeting is happening, because Fred came in and saying that he was not going to be chairing the meeting, and now I'm hearing that he is going to be kind of chairing the meeting.
He's not chairing the meeting. He's going to be making remarks. He has more information than I do pertaining to this issue in terms of how it rolled out, the information that came to the board and all of those things. So that's why he's on this meeting tonight.
Okay, well,
gather.
I
Okay,
think
so-
Teresa has a question. So before I begin, if you could just answer her question, and then I just want to be respectful of the.
Ms. Boyd, can you go ahead, please? I'll start with you. Thank you.
can I ask something first about the resolution, the moratorium? Because I want to make sure we're doing things properly. I don't want to leave it till the end, because I think it's relevant to what everybody's here for.
Ms. Westerdahl, there's a format that we're going to use to do.
I asked for this to be on the agenda, and it's old business. And we seem to skip over it.
You asked, when
The
did you ask
resolution
that?
is old business. We talked about the resolution at the last.
Okay, Ms.
remember?
Westerdahl, once we get to the time that you're going to be able to give input as a committee, we can do those things. Let's allow the guests to make their comments or remarks or questions if they have.
So
at
this
this
is
time.
old business or new business? The
We're in new
resolution
business.
I gave you last more than a month ago.
We are in new business, Ms. Westerdahl.
So we're not going to do old business, the moratorium? When are we going to do that?
Ms. Westerdahl, we did old business. The agenda was already set.
Yeah, but I asked like last week.
Can
to
we
have
talk
this on the
about that
agenda.
after they've made their comments, Ms. Westerdahl?
I'd prefer to
Thank
talk about
you.
it now. Thank you.
Okay, so Ms. Boyd, can you go ahead and make your
Well,
comment?
I think what she's saying is that this is old business. She
Yes.
put a motion on the floor the last time you met, and now you're not discussing it.
Right. And I
I don't
was there-
understand what's so
If
difficult
this is-
about
If
that.
this meeting is going to be disruptive,
No, you are disruptive and you're not respecting procedure
LaShawn,
of community meetings.
LaShawn, please, allow me to chair this meeting, please.
You're not doing
I
a
would
very good job.
appreciate- Well, would you like to take the role on? And
No,
conduct
I
the
would
meeting?
like you to follow.
Okay, well, you're not going
Excuse
to
me,
speak
excuse
to
me, Ms.
me
Chair.
in that way, in that disrespectful tone. Thank you.
Ms. Chair,
Okay,
No,
and
you are
I'm
being
I'm
disrespectful
chairing
of
this meeting,
procedure.
and I will, continue the meeting the way, it has
I mean,
been.
at the last
It's
meeting,
ridiculous.
at the last meeting, a resolution was presented and it was tabled to be discussed.
And the resolution was presented without any input from the other committee members.
Right.
Are you going to say that? And
Right,
Westerdahl
whatever,
confirmed-
right, and it was
Ms.
tabled.
Westerdahl confirmed that she was not the one that wrote that. So I'm not understanding where you're taking.
I mean, she, because
Okay,
she
this is a
presented
committee.
it.
Point of order.
Everyone
she
If
needs
I,
to-
if I can raise a point of
excuse me,
order. If I can raise a
excuse me.
point of order.
This
I'm
is
sorry,
a
ma'am.
committee, and the committee should have input in whatever goes out to out there.
If I
And
can
that
raise a
did
point
not,
of order,
that
Madam
was
Chair,
not the case.
if I can raise a point of
And
order.
Ms. Westerdahl knows that because I responded to her message, her email that she sent me.
And that's the
knows
point
that.
of the
She's
meeting
aware
for
of that.
tonight, correct?
Excuse me?
That's the point of the meeting for tonight, to develop a resolution.
Yeah, I
Correct?
thought you and
Well, we
Bishop were gonna
we are
look it
having a
over.
discussion, and as a committee,
And
we are
get
going
back
to
to me. You
decide
never
which way we
did.
want to go with this discussion.
Can I
It's
raise a
only
point of
fair
order?
But the resolution was
Point-
presented at the last meeting.
If I
and
can raise
so
a
it
point
should
of
be a
order,
part
if I
of
can raise a
both.
point of order.
Excuse me, Ms. Boyd, can you allow someone else to?
If I
make
can
a
raise a
comment?
point of order. The chair has already established that she's going to take the commentary, and after the commentary remarks, and then she was going to proceed with the order of business. It'll go a lot faster if you take the commentary, get the remarks, and then you'll be able to proceed with the agenda. If there is a motion to be made on the floor, it'll happen. But I think the chair has already established the order of the day.
And we just want to be clear that the motion will be recognized and accepted as, that's because that's not the way it worked the last time. Okay, so my comment is I did a FOIA, Freedom of Information, and I got information from CB9 after an appeal, in which it was noted that in July 2020 was the first time in which community board.
Yeah, you like those first ones you said?
Okay, okay, he has to mute his. Kyle, yes, thank you. He interrupted me, so I'm starting back again. Where for the first time, CB9 was apprised of the 5G towers and their design. 2 information sessions were planned, and the only people who seem to have gotten this information were the executive board members, including Debbie Timothy. It was never forwarded to the community board, to the community, or to any of the board members, except for the executive board, and it kind of just died there. And then in September of 2021, they picked back up the conversation. They again organized 2 more information sessions. This time, Dante was the district manager at this time. He sent 1 notice to the community board members on a Friday and told them that there was these information sessions that were being held. He then got 2 subsequent information sessions reminders. He never forwarded these reminders to the community board members. And he never once sent this information out to the general public. So the whole entire time, the general public had no knowledge that these 5G towers were coming in. They were not invited to the information sessions. And so we were kept completely in the dark. Then Kyle sent a reminder for board members to sit there and provide comments, as if the residents don't have a right to produce comments. This was after it was very clear that no one has showed up at the information sessions because Kyle didn't remind anybody. I mean, Dante did not remind anybody. And that's where it ended. The next time that the community knew about the 5G towers was actually when they were placed this past summer into our community. The FOIA also revealed that there's 71 5G towers now being proposed in our community, all up and down our neighborhood, including in the landmark preservation community, including possibly Lefferts Gardens, all over the community. Some of them have already been installed, some of them are about to be activated, and yet again, the community has not had an opportunity to speak. There's been no hearings that have been scheduled for the community to speak. And this issue has been with the environmental committee 3 times already, and still nothing has happened.
Ms. Boyd, your 2 minutes is up. Thank you.
So
so we have.
So I would like to just end, please. So I think it's very important that there be a decision made at this community board right now, at this committee, so it can go to the general board meeting at the end of May, and there'll be a vote on it, because we waited too long. It's already 3 years. And we waited too long already as it is. Thank you.
True.
Thank you. We have the individual at 212-734-3912. Is that Miss
Yes, this is Jill McManus.
Jill
I'm
McManus?
I'm a founding member of New Yorkers for Wired Tech. And we have been studying the 5G issue for about 3 years, especially looking into the health effects of radio frequency. A great deal of evidence suggesting harm. And the studies are coming forth now on 5G specifically, more or less geometrically raises the odds of hazards to trees and plants and so you will have 71 towers in this designation. You will probably have several hundred more if this isn't questioned. And there is a New Hampshire report of a designated council that made recommendations to the state, for instance, that a safe, so-called safe setback from a school would be 1,640 feet. That's 1,640 feet. Whereas we have them on the corner right outside the school window. Have small 4G boxes on the poles. 5G.
Okay, Ms.
No
McManus, your
agencies, I'll just
2 minutes is
two more
up.
sentences. No agencies are monitoring the amounts of radiation, neither at the federal level or the city level. Honor reporting that they're even, excuse me, compliant with the FCC guidelines, which are totally out of date and haven't been changed for 25 years.
Okay, Ms.
right,
McManus,
that
thank
will
you
do
for
it
your
for now.
comments. I see Theodora Scarato.
Thank you so much. So I'm Executive Director of Environmental Health Trust. Our website is ehtrust.org. And my contact information is theodora.scarato@ehtrust.org for anyone who wants to reach me. I am glad to talk to you about anything you're interested in related to the science. I work with the scientists. We are calling for immediate action on this issue because we know enough to know. There are hundreds of scientists who are calling to halt the rollout of 5G and of all of this new technology because it is increasing the level of radiation. Already around the world, just so you know, there are 600 municipalities in Italy that are calling to halt 5G. There are communities across the United States. We have in Michigan, Detroit schools now are working on this issue because they have found that their schools are now cell tower sites. There is just so much going on. And if you have any questions, I am here to offer you all the information so you can make an educated decision about what you want for your community. The associations are to not just cancer, but brain damage. And we know that when you think about lead, and what we know now, and I remember when my kids were young, they're now, old and out, and they had, of course, lead levels, as most kids do or did, or, and the
Ms.
doctor said,
Scarato, thank you for your
can I just
input.
say
Your
one thing?
time is up.
She said,
Okay.
there's no problem. But now with those levels, she would say there is no safe level. So we know enough to know,
okay.
and I'm glad to answer.
Thank you. Thank you for your input. Ms. Martina?
Hi there. Good evening, everybody.
Good
It's
evening.
nice to see everybody. I am in agreement with Theodora. I think that we need to immediately put a moratorium on this. And we need to do our own research, but it's true, the research is already out there, and it's not just out there in our communities in this country. The research is out there all over the world globally, and this is a serious matter. I think it was the World Health Organization in 2011 that classified this as possible to be carcinogen. And the scientists in Australia said that it would cause DNA single and double strand breaks, oxidative damage, disruption of cell metabolism, increased blood-brain barrier permeability, melatonin reduction, disruption to brain glucose metabolism, and so on. So I think that we really need to take a break, a timeout, and take a serious look at this. Our community is already challenged with health issues due to pollution, and there's a lot of respiratory problems already here. We do not need to compound this. So I hope we have a very productive discussion on this.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And information, yes. Next, we have LaShawn.
Yes, good evening. Yeah, like everyone else, I'm here to talk about the 5G towers. I want to know why it is that we didn't get this information 3 years ago. I want to know what's the holdup on passing this resolution that was brought forth, I believe it was last month. Plenty of other community boards have put in a resolution. They put in their resolution for a moratorium. They want to look more at this. This is not safe. I have a lot of questions and I want to see some action because this is ridiculous. You guys have had this in your hands and no one did anything about it. No one put it to the community. So to me, this is a concerted effort to keep us out of making these decisions for ourselves. I'm the person that saw the tower on Sullivan or Montgomery and Bedford. And it's enraging to know that this was information that this community board had and we did not get it. And now we're being told to not be rude and to hold off on things and to wait and to wait and to wait. And I don't want to hear that anymore. I want to see some
LaShawn,
action.
that's because you do not have the facts about what transpired.
Well,
Debbie,
I know
you're
I have
interrupting
the foil.
her.
As a
I have the
committee,
foil.
Debbie,
you have
you're
to get the
interrupting
facts.
her.
I have the foil.
Point of order.
Order.
I'm just responding to her.
Order.
point.
No, you're not supposed
No,
to.
but
Point of
you-
Thank
order.
you.
Let her finish.
Order. Let her
Let her
finish.
finish.
There's nothing to
Go ahead.
respond to.
Thank
The
you.
facts that I know what I know, and that's enough. And you can sit there and give me more information as to why this never came out. But I would like to see some action today
Thank you. for
because
your input.
we do not deserve these things in our community.
Thank you for your input. We have Ms. Odette next. Go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Odette Wilkins, and I'm President and General Counsel of Wired Broadband, and I'm also a technology attorney, as I've said before. There are already now 14 communities that have disapproved or passed moratoria against this. And also, I just wanted to mention that T-Mobile was one of the carriers that published a report back in 2000, which actually showed oxidative stress and cancer and other things. So the industry knows that these are dangerous instrumentalities. The other thing is that the Federal Communications Commission just sent a letter to CityBridge last week stating that they were basically violating two federal laws, the National Environmental Policy Act and the National Historical Preservation Act. And they were supposed to have engaged in prior reviews based on those two laws that they did not do. Now, the FCC has not precluded engaging in enforcement actions against CityBridge. So CityBridge has violated two major federal laws, and those reviews have to apply to those towers that have already been constructed. So this is not good news in terms of CityBridge having violated these laws. So I'm here to answer any questions, and I look forward to the discussion later.
Okay, thank you for your input. Next, we have Jay for it.
Thank you. Can you hear me, Ms. Chair?
Yes, thank
Great.
you.
I wanted to make the point, Odette Wilkins was good enough to send me a case. I wanted to share that information with something in the background when somebody's, okay.
It's LaShawn.
Okay, that's
Can
okay.
you?
That's no problem.
Remote, yeah.
Can I start my time over since I didn't get a chance to speak because I just lost 28 seconds?
Yes, go ahead. Mhm.
Okay, great. Stopwatch. So point number one is that things changed a lot in the past few years. It used to be that local governments couldn't create laws because everyone was saying that it's a federal thing that preempts it. Local governments can create laws now. They changed the case law. So there may be New York City may pass laws. The community board, even though it's just advisory, can come up with suggestions the city council will follow. So people who say that, oh, there's no power, that's not true. So it can come from the city council that can do it. The other point, board chair Fred Baptiste correctly referenced that it did not go through ULURP. This never went through ULURP. At the executive meeting, Fred said it didn't go through ULURP, and there was a small reference to 363. 363 requires ULURP some of the time. And it's if there's land use implications, and there's case law that shows that even though it doesn't have a significant impact, where it won't require, where it doesn't need an EIS, if it has land use implications, it still goes through ULURP. So if you could still have land use implications, but not have a significant adverse impact, there's case law on it. Take a look at section 363. And I want a clarification from the public advocate's office, from Jamani Williams, a clarification because he was on the land use committee. And you can get around the statute of limitations by equitable tolling. You'll get all of your rights. So I asked Fred, Chair Baptiste, ask for a letter clarifying whether or not this had to go through ULURP and whether it had land use implications. Then you get your rights, and you get all the power to do whatever you want. And I hope that you have a basic, small, also moratorium that's very basic, because for 45 days until you know what you're doing. It's better to protect it, better to be safe than sorry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your input, Mr. Sored. Is there anyone else that I did not get to? Is there anyone else that I didn't get to that would like to give input? Okay. Julie and Sue, you can go after. Julie M.
Hi, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm listening to the conversation, and I want to support the people who are asking for some action. And I can understand that the board might have been approached and actually maybe didn't even know the full scope of the size of these things. And they were told it was free Wi-Fi and free phone calling, and that sounds great. I know that there was another board that was expressing these deceptive kind of practices. But I just wanted to mention that there is history that also the city is forgetting, and that is Verizon was tasked to build out fiber to everyone's premises. And we all paid extra fees on our phone bill. And they just decided they would stop doing that in 2010 or so. And I would say that they just, what happened is that they just used it for their wireless for-profit side of the business. But those cables, that fiber still exists, and they're not sharing it with other competitors. But it belongs to the public. So if we're looking for a good solution to give everyone really good, equitable access, we should really ask the city why they are not completing that build out. And if Verizon won't do it, that they should give smaller companies a chance to do it. And that would really solve a lot of the access problems that they created by not completing this fiber.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sue, I see you have your hand up next.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for letting me talk. I just want to say some of the things I've learned from going and listening to the community boards. And I want to reiterate what one of your members said about your members of your community have to do the legwork to get the information. Because when I've gone to community boards where the mayor's office is talking, and OTI, the technology office, they give no information about the effects of these huge antennas, 5 antennas at the top of every pole, 10 feet from where people live. And why are they not giving that information? You have to ask yourself that. They can do the reading too, of the 11,000 pages of scientific evidence showing harm below the FCC guidelines. Yet they will come to you and they will say, it is safe because we adhere to the FCC guidelines. So be very careful. Get your own information. It's all out there. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. Is there anyone else? Okay, Chair Fred Baptiste.
Sure. And I don't have very much in terms of remarks. I think just in terms of the timeline, I think, from what the information that we received as a board, and the process that was laid out by the city, I mean, I think, first notice about, I think it was even the 4G towers came in the summer of 20. We're in hiatus in the summer of 20. There's no one home in the summer of 20. Executive committee is advised of what's going on. And even in terms of that, it's a matter of, okay, well, listen, by the time we even mobilize to do anything, that part has already passed. When it comes back up, I believe it's something close to September, October of the next year. We get the notice, I believe, on the 15th, saying that there is a hearing on the 18th. Oh, and by the way, design and construction is going to be having a hearing on the 12th of November. Is actually, ironically, very close to the point where it's like almost all of our committees have met already. The board isn't even able to meet and consider it. And by the time the design committee meets, we haven't even had a chance to have a committee meeting, much less even have two board meetings to consider. So that's one of the challenges that happens around that. And additionally, in terms of, it was not necessarily something we could structure a hearing around, because even having hearings, that there's notice requirements for that. We have to set that up, the logistics and everything. So in terms of the board not doing that function, that's because of the way that the notification happened, which speaks to the process. And I think that's something that can be discussed, and that could be something that's raised with the city in terms of the way that went down. So there's a debate with that. I think that the main thing is that part of what we were looking for the board, and I understand the frustration, the concern from the community, is what are we doing? I think that, we don't necessarily drive it from the top down, where I say, okay, well, listen, go out there and you need to investigate these things. These things are being driven by the committee. It's in the committee now. And the point is, we're looking for, as a board, and just to put that out there, as a board, we're looking for the information, the facts as we know them, to kind of have an understanding of what the appropriate next steps are going to be. Should it be a moratorium, or are there additional steps that we would need to take, and things of that nature? So, that's the conversation that we're having this evening. And again, I thank the chair for convening this and having this. I thank all those members who've come, the residents and members who have come to consider this. And that's where we're going to go. The one thing I would say is, we don't expect you to have the entire problem solved this evening. There are those points that you can agree on in terms of, this is what needs to happen, and these are at least the appropriate initial first steps. I think that is fine and sufficient there, and the conversation will continue from that point. But from the executive committee perspective and from the board perspective, we'll want a clear direction and those facts that have been established, at least to this point, in terms of what is the issue, what are the concerns, and what are the solid next steps, and then the board will consider that from that point in terms of what's appropriate from this board. I think it's important that we engage our elected officials, so we can definitely do that in terms of communicating with the council members, with the public advocate. There are a number of other entities as well, so even if it's an intermediate step, we can do those things. But again, I just want to conclude where it's like, I think that the work is happening. That's that's what we're trying to do. We're having that conversation. The work is happening, and we'll see where we proceed from there.
Okay, what are you saying?
Are there? Excuse me.
What does that mean exactly? Like,
hello. Can we have some order here, please?
No, I would like him to clarify, because to me, he's just saying a whole bunch of flowery words. What is it that is going to happen next?
I'll break it down. Committee votes, board will vote, but we're going to vote on what the facts are, at least as we know them. Done.
And what are exactly the facts that we're basing our opinion on? The 5G towers are here. The community was never notified of that fact. No emails ever went out to the community. Okay, now they're here. More planned, 71. We would like a moratorium until you can sit there and have a deeper discussion Then you could go and talk to your elected officials. Then you can sit there and do all of that. But right now, we need to stop the employment of these things. We need to stop them from being activated. This is serious, Fred. This is not something that we need to be lagging and lagging. 3 years you guys had this information, and not one email went out to the community, not one, telling us that this was going to happen to us.
That's right.
And so now it's here, it's happening. We don't want this radiation in our community. We do not want our pregnant women being affected. We do not want our children being affected. So what we would like is a temporary moratorium, no more installations, no more activation until we can sit there and organize, get our elected officials behind us and figure out what else is happening. This is what we would like today.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Boyd. Can we hear from Nicola Cox?
I'm basically saying the same thing. I thought tonight's meeting was to do a moratorium so that we can continue the work. As Fred said, that started, that's fine. But in the meantime, I don't want the tower on Montgomery activated if it hasn't been yet, nor any other installations in our community until we know what's going on.
And luckily it hasn't been.
So in terms of you, Nicola, I have a question for you. You said in terms of knowing what's going on, what are you referring to?
I'm saying that Fred mentioned that the work has started and the work is going to continue, and I'm fine with that. We need to continue working on it, but in the meantime, the clock has already begun.
Okay, so
the horse is out of the barn. Implementation has started. So can we put a moratorium to stop any further implementation in our community until we can research this further and figure out what our position is? Right now, we don't know what our position is, right? We haven't come to a firm conclusion. We're still trying to figure out what is the real impact, what's the research out there, what are the implications to our community? Do we agree with this or not? Do we agree with it on a residential block when I thought it should only be on commercial? Right now it's sitting on Montgomery in front of an apartment building. Someone's window is facing, has a tower in front of it.
Okay,
is that fair to that resident? Is that fair to this residential block? I thought it was supposed to be in commercial zones, not commercial overlays. So we need to understand the parameters for this deployment, the implications, and make a decision as a community board, and that hasn't happened yet, and we need time to do that. So that's why the moratorium will help us give ourselves time.
Okay,
Right.
so I just want to give a little input in terms of how I inherited this issue, this topic. I was asked to chair this committee back in September. And I believe it was about March, February. I received information that this committee was going to be handling this issue. And right away, I said, well, I need to get to the bottom as to what transpired from 2019 and bringing it forward to find out what transpired, what information was received by the board and what took place. Because there was an EP committee prior to me taking on this in September last year. And I wanted to know, well, what did they talk about? And of course, I did pose a question to Ms. Westerdahl, and she said they didn't have that discussion. They spoke about garbage cans and whatever else. So my question was, well, what happened during that time?
Nothing.
So now I'm getting the word that was used is that it's being bounced. And the comment that I made when I first put it on my agenda, I said, well, it needs to be, stop being bounced. If it's an issue that, needs to be addressed, why is it being bounced? I mean, and I feel like I'm being, as a committee chair and a committee, we are being attacked for something that we're trying to get to the bottom of.
Right. I don't think anyone's attacking. We're just trying to get away.
No, I'm just, not referring to you. I'm just saying how I felt since I took this up and made sure that there was a discussion on it, so that it came from out, in the open. So this is how I feel, And, although I'm trying to get information in terms of what it entails, what can be done, and all of those things, So, I mean, when I ask people to be respectful on the meeting, this is a reason why, because it's important that as a committee, we get a sense as to what is happening and what happened prior to us getting this issue on our committee.
But in the meantime, we need to put a moratorium so that you can do the additional research and find out what happened. But while we're doing the research and finding out what happened, they're still trying to deploy. So we need to let them know right now, we need you to pump the brakes on Community Board 9, right? We need to get our ducks in a row. This has now been dumped on EP's lap, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
Right? You got it. You don't know where it was before. I don't know where it was before. As far as I know, we didn't know about it.
Right.
So we need to get our ducks in a row in order to make an informed decision. So we need a moratorium so that we can so we can do our research. That's all we're asking for tonight.
So as a committee, hopefully we can, come to a consensus and, try to move this thing forward, because, I mean, you're hearing about it. You're hearing about the aesthetic, whether it's the way it's designed. You're hearing that it's causing, illnesses, but none of the research that I've seen out there, it, links anything to that. So, I mean, it's a lot of stuff that's out there that needs to be, looked at and, to make good judgment and things like that. So, I mean, it's not that, we are, playing hardball or anything. We need to know what we're doing, and we need to understand what we're talking about and all of those things. So when people come to the meeting and they're out of character, I mean, it just makes things worse.
So in the meantime, can we agree that we all agree we need a moratorium so that we can figure things out? We need to stop the process until we can figure things out. That's all people are asking for tonight. I don't think anyone wants a decision.
Okay.
All we want is a moratorium for tonight. If we can get that done, then we can make a plan for how do we move forward.
Okay, so we can, we can discuss this a little further and, come to some conclusion. I mean, it's fair enough, fair to say. I mean, I don't want to feel as though I'm being attacked by some people that I don't even know. I understand.
Well, first of all, if you're a community board member, you have to have thick skin.
Can I finish speaking?
There's no need to take.
Okay.
LaShawn, come on.
So,
okay.
Thank you. My role as a chair is to discuss the issue at hand and try to come to, bring it to some type of resolution or, on behalf of the community that I serve. And I don't need to be here or any of the other committee members feeling as though we are being attacked.
I think, LaShawn.
So I just want people to understand where I'm coming from.
I got it.
Speaking on behalf of the committee.
Yep.
Thank you.
I
understand.
LaShawn has a little baby.
Okay.
She lives right around the corner from Montgomery. She's concerned about the health and well-being of her child.
Okay, thank you.
Any mother.
I see. Thank you, Ms. Boyd. I see Celeste, your hand is up. Can you unmute yourself and make your
Sure. Thank you. So as you guys probably noted during the full board meeting, I believe that the issue should not go back to the committee, that there was sufficient information for the board to vote to approve a moratorium. So again, I am in the same position. I cannot say what the sign shows or doesn't show, because like anything, there's always two camps, even in science, even with things that can be proven. So I'm not exactly sure. I've read a lot of things. And in addition to that, there is the whole idea of just surveillance. And I personally, I don't think that people need to be surveilled on a 24/7, although there's some benefits at times, but just on an everyday, it just seems to be a bit much. So I would also request a moratorium. And I would also want to know, what is the benefit to the community of 70-some towers? And as we discuss this and talk about it, and Ms. Timothy, for you to do the job of a chair, a moratorium does seem to be in order, because You guys just don't have the full information. I'm not sure if you ever will have exactly full information, but at least you can get more information. And to do that, it's not a day, it's not a week, it takes more time than that. So you do need a moratorium just to do your job. That's what I believe. And importantly, the community that has spoken about this has all been in agreement that there should be a moratorium. We don't know what the ultimate conclusion will be, but at least the respect of the community that's speaking clearly and loudly to the board, to you, to me, to everybody really who's part of the board. So I don't think we can ignore the community. I also do believe that the acrimony, as I mentioned before, wherever it's coming from, is just too much disrespect. I think we're all trying to do the right thing for the community, and we do need to respect each other in these meetings. It's just not appropriate. But I do ask for the moratorium, and I'm going to say that loudly and clearly, and to say that it shouldn't be in the committee. I did believe that. I still believe that. But the committee does need to take some type of action. So it can't keep, punting the ball down to the next meeting, the next meeting, the next meeting. Really, the action now that's required is the moratorium. And so I would strongly urge that you do that. I don't even know if the moratorium is going to work. And then for all of the community who has spoken so passionately about this, I think that they have a job too. And that is to at least give information to the community about where the towers are going to be, what they will look like, because the community doesn't have that information. And I just want to finish. And so to get that support, I think that the community also needs more information so that people can understand what's being talked about. So that's it for me. Highly recommend a moratorium, although I'm not a voting member and I'm not a member of this committee at all, but I do thank everyone for their time and for their passion on it.
I did submit a very detailed list of all the locations of where the 71 towers are going to be. I gave it to the board. I gave it to board members. I gave it to the executive board. So I think it behooves the community board to do as Ms. Chase is suggesting, and that is send this information out to the general public. I think that a lack of information is really what's driving a lot of this conversation. And so it would be appropriate if you guys were to do that, because I took a long time organizing that list, and it shows exactly the location. It gives the in-between streets and 71 all over the community. I mean, it's outrageous on every avenue, on every street. It's really crazy. But I think you should ask Fred, well, Fred is right here, to send that list out to the public, to let them know that the 5G towers are coming, that these are the ones that are installed, the ones that have been approved, and the ones that are pending, because no information has gone out to the community at all.
Thank you for your input. Mrs. Sword, I see your hand up.
Yes, just to make the point, in 2016, when they had the initial environmental impact statement, they had the initial environmental analysis that said that there's no serious adverse impact in 2016 when the city council voted upon it, the original one before the amendments. They didn't have 5 antennas. They had 1 antenna. They then changed it to say we want now 5 antennas in the last amendment. There's no environmental analysis on that. So the community, the board should say, listen, we want to see the environmental analysis because there's 5 antennas. And the second thing I want to recognize Fred Baptiste is a Marine, was called for active service during the Iraq War, was a platoon sergeant, and no one's braver than Fred, and everybody owes a debt of gratitude to Fred for his service, and everybody appreciates that, including myself. And I say to you, since you're the chair, that if there was a battle going on and you're uncertain as the regiment across the street what type of weapons it has, and you got your troops, you would build a bunker. You'd build a bunker to protect the troops because you don't know what's across the street. And that's what people are asking for. They're asking for like a basic moratorium because they don't know, and they haven't had the analysis based upon the 5 antennas. And please also send that out to the public advocate on the issue that I raised on 363. There's case law on it. You got them
Thank
on
you,
that.
Mr. Sorid, for your, Celeste, do you have another question or input? Your hand is still up. And Mr. Sorid, your hand is still up. Thank you. Is there anyone else that has any comments? Fred, do you want to give? Fred, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Mhm.
And going along with the military motif, this is one of the things I believe in. You know, it's not ready, fire, aim. It's ready, aim, fire. I think that, you know, from what I'm gathering is that I think that there's clearly an unreadiness, to say the least, and we'll use that word for now, around these 5G towers in terms of what they mean, what they're bringing, what the impacts are, and just even in terms of the process that was used to bring them. I think that that's fine and that's sufficient, I think. But I think the other piece of that is, what is the aim? So in terms of what are the unresolved questions? And I think some of those have already been put out this evening. And I think that that's the next part in terms of if we're requesting the moratorium. What I think would be most effective for the board to say is we are requesting the moratorium because there are open questions about the FCC, about current FCC regulations and their sufficiency to keep the community safe. B, there are concerns about the franchise or whatever it is. And, you know, you can continue. I leave that to be the work of the committee to continue down and kind of really just map out what are the questions that we would like to have answered while this moratorium is going. And in that meantime, we can definitely, you know, identify who the stakeholders are, who the appropriate people are to bring in. So I think it is probably appropriate for us to request OTI to come in because they should be able to discuss and address most of those things. It may be appropriate to have a couple of other agencies or entities come in as well, or do some additional fact finding in terms of documenting what we're able to do as a community board in terms of what we see as the facts are. But I think that that's really probably the work here, even if it's an incomplete list. If we come up with the top 5 or 6 questions that the board has or the community has in terms of these 5G towers that we would like to have addressed, I think we could really craft that into a more, you know, into a resolution that's really more effective and in terms of really points out the issues and challenges with everything that's happening.
I believe the moratorium that was submitted by Teresa last month actually does that. Within that moratorium, it questions a lot of the findings, it questions. So there is, if you read the resolution, I don't know if you have or not, Fred, but it's very clear in which it challenges and questions, and it does exactly that. So it's already here. And so I think that that's why this resolution needs to be presented, it needs to be discussed, and it needs to be passed because there is within that resolution all of those points. So we don't have to do this another meeting because it's already been done.
So Bishop, I haven't heard you for the night and I know that you're on the committee.
Yes, I'm just listening to and wondering why the baton was not passed with information. I feel like we're in a race as this committee, and the committee, the chairperson before, we don't have enough information for what needs to be done. It wasn't given. So now we know a moratorium is what we want to look at in terms of let us do that and then find out why we didn't have the rest of the information and get something done. Are we the only new ones on this committee? Debbie, are there people who were on the committee that may have information to give us that we don't know? Because there's nothing that is being said tonight that we can say, this is what was brought over from the environmental committee from last year. We don't have that. So the baton is dropped, and it seemed like the fire is on the new committee because the old committee, for whatever reason, was unable to get it done.
Hello,
No.
can you mute?
No,
Can you
it was
please
never
mute your
given.
mics, please?
If we need, and I think we do need a moratorium to go on so that we can find out what happened, who's now responsible, and how do we move forward. I think a conversation is needed. I totally agree.
Okay, so
I'm sure if I may, just
okay, go ahead, and then Ms. Westerveld, you can speak.
Yeah, I just want to address the point of why there's not a carryover. in terms of describing the process that happened, the way it was presented to the board in terms of this, whatever information they gave us, there was a process with a deadline that happened where close to that November 21 timeframe, if I remember what I said the PDC hearing was. After that PDC hearing, there is no other communication we get. So it's really only when they start popping up, you see other things about that coming up, that's it. It's not something that's picked up because there was no other action that was required by the board at that time. And we leave it from the standpoint of, and I think that even from that time, after it goes to the Public Design Commission, I'm guessing that it really goes into the operational administrative stuff. They go into contracts, they identify sites, they do all the stuff that is probably invisible to the public at most times, and would probably most likely be invisible to the board at that time. So when it comes back up as an issue is obviously, I think most likely when you start seeing them pop up, and these are when the questions come. And then I think, this is where the process works, where it comes to the board and the board is like, okay, well, where are the questions coming from and everything else? And this is where it comes back into the committee. And here's where we are. But I do want to definitely make sure I'm addressing that there's not a ball that's been dropped. There's not a baton that wasn't passed in terms of the process ended where we thought it ended. And even in terms of the role of the board, it was what it was in terms of you got 2 weeks to answer. And after that 2 weeks, it's not your ball anymore. The city had it. But I think we're at the stage now. If we have these questions, if there are definitely concerns, if we come up with a plan of action, move forward. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to give that.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Chairman, I am not saying that the ball was dropped from the board. I'm simply saying the committee that had it before. If there was information
that's the point. It was never in a committee because it was that fast. It was never even in the committee.
All right.
I would like to speak now, please.
Okay, so what I would like to say, based on, piggyback from Bishop Gonzalez, is, possibly doing a moratorium until we can get more information.
Correct.
In terms of this whole process and how we move forward as a board or, whichever,
Yes,
I think that would be the best way to go about this. Bishop, I don't know, what your final thoughts are, but that is where I am based on what I'm hearing. And
yes, I really think since the board voted for it to come back to the committee, and we are prepared with some documents that we have, then let's do a moratorium and then let's figure out where we go from here. Because the board sent it to us. So let's vote in it and see if we have a moratorium, then we're gonna move forward, finding out all the other information that we need, because it was sent back to the committee.
Yes. So I just piggybacked on, the fact that since we do not have all the details, and
we don't,
information is all over the place in terms of whether, the ugliness, I hear the ugliness of the polls, I hear, the illnesses that it causes. And so there's a lot of controversy going on, through this whole issue. So it's fair enough to say to allow, even if it's to allow the committee at large to give their input, so, we can make a sound decision once that takes place. But, in all fairness to, the committee that we, advocate on behalf
yeah,
of.
move forward. Yes.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
So that's what I would put out there on the floor to do at this point. I don't know if anyone else has any
Well,
input.
I wanted to just say, I have written a letter to the board,
Mhm.
to the executive board, about how most decisions are given to community boards in which they have 60 days in which they must respond. The notice came in on September and they had until November to respond. There needs to be a system in place where there's a procedure in which that happens. Other community boards are able to do that. Other community boards are able to take that 60 days. This is a standard 60-day review process. almost everything has 60 days with it. And so I'm suggesting that Fred and the executive committee look at setting a procedure so we know once something comes in, it goes straight to a community board, a committee. It gets assigned to a committee. The committee knows all the information and it's the job of the committee. And I completely agree with you, Debbie. I understand that this was kind of just thrown on you and and now everybody's all upset because everybody's seeing, and of course, all the anxiety and the stress, and everybody's sitting there saying, hey, do something, do something. And then you guys were, well, I don't even know anything about it. And then it was a confusion about whether or not it was in the previous committee, which it never was. So I think
yeah, that's
forward,
those were the questions that I raised.
Yeah. So moving forward, I believe
That's the point.
The executive board's job now to sit here and put a procedure in place where if you have a 60-day review process, then this is how that's going to happen so that we're all on board and making sure that the community is notified, that comments are made, and that we're all aware of what's happening. That did not happen, and so I'm asking that. But that's for the executive committee. But
Yes,
I
thank
definitely
you.
understand. I know that, it's a hot topic. We are very concerned about our community, but I'm so glad that you guys are agreeing to do a moratorium. It warms my heart. I really appreciate it. I really do deeply appreciate it. So
Okay, thank you. Ms. Westerdahl, you to make?
Yeah, hi. This is Teresa Westerdahl. I was a member of the EP committee previously before I became a board member. So this is my second time serving, and I just want to reiterate, and we have discussed this previously in meetings in this committee, that the previous EP committee did not have any information concerning these 5G towers at all. We were given none. And I did look at the documentation that Dante sent out after Alicia Boyd gave the FOIA request. And I looked through there and I saw Fred's name.
Dante's pretty weird, to be honest. I'm just being honest.
Oh my God.
I saw Debbie's name in those documents as well. So I think maybe something was sent to you because your name was in there, Debbie. My name wasn't in there. This was all
an email.
Yes, in those
and you
emails.
said your name was not on there. How did you get the email?
Through the foil.
Through the
Oh,
foil.
okay.
Through the foil. I read the whole foil and I read the
Yes, I did get a copy of it because the same questions as Ms. Boyd asked was some of the same question that I asked after our April 3rd meeting when we were trying to get to the bottom of what transpired. So that's why I got a copy.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, but
No problem.
I'm
Go
not
ahead.
I'm not talking about April. I'm talking about like 2020. There was you were on the email chain for some of those emails that were sent out about the towers. So I just wanted, okay, so not enough information was sent out.
So maybe everyone was
Can I
getting
finish,
information
please?
at that
Can
time.
I finish, please?
Go ahead. No, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that I didn't know anything about these until LaShawn brought it to my attention. The first person I heard it from is LaShawn, who's on this call. Sean talked to me about it. Todd talked to me about it. All people that live in my neighborhood where they saw the 3G towers go up in August, September. So we brought it to the board at that time, September. It was brought to the board. LaShawn wrote letters. I spoke about it at the board meeting. We've been talking about it for a long time. I started researching. It was, I kept bringing it up. LaShawn kept bringing it up. By a miracle, Odette, Theodora, more and more people have shown up to support us because I'd actually given up. I'd given up hope. And then they brought me hope. And here I am with my hope and a moratorium and a resolution. I've gone to other community board meetings. I've gone to sessions. I've really tried to educate myself. I've sent everything I could to Debbie and to Bishop Gonzalez. I've done everything I can to inform myself and this committee and my fellow board members so that we can stop what's happening with these towers, because everything I'm learning, it's not good news. It's not good news in so many ways and so harmful. And this is why all these other community boards have put resolutions in. And, it's not only are they ugly, and people in historic districts don't want them. But people are having ill health effects from them. There's so many reasons. So I presented this moratorium, the resolution last week, or not last week, I'm sorry, at the last session. Debbie and Bishop Gonzalez wanted more time to read it. Yes. So it's been a month, and if there's anything you want to change or add to it, that would be lovely. There was one little error that was found in it, just like a little bit of a grammar issue. Other than that, it stands as it is, and it's been in the community, the Environmental Protection Committee's hands for a month now. And I would please love to have this passed. So
Miss
I'm sorry I don't have my camera on. For some reason, when it's on too long, it shuts off.
Okay, Ms. Westerdahl, if I can respond to your information. So I believe I did send you an email clarifying everything that you sent. And I thought I informed you that it was fair that the committee make a decision. When you told me that you and others wrote that resolution, I right away told you that it was not fair to the committee to be included in that
Feliz
decision. So
Feliz Navidad.
Oh.
Feliz Navidad. Prospera.
Sorry about that. I don't know what that was all about. But so
Did
yes,
somebody
so
call my
I
name?
did.
Feliz
I did send
Navidad.
Yes, it was you. You have a fan.
Funny.
So yeah, so there was clarification in terms of that. And I believe that, as I said a little while ago, and I believe Bishop made the same suggestion in terms of how we move forward. And I believe that that's fair enough as a committee.
Okay.
So
So
is
we are
there-
ready to.
So
should
we are
be
going
ready to move forward now.
So we are going, Bishop, go ahead. Don't let me cut you off.
I'll let Teresa move forward to, present it because she brought it, and let's take a vote on it and get it moving. 3 years ago, it's gone.
Okay, I make a resolution to move forward, or to make, I
place
make
a
a motion
I place a
to,
motion.
I place a
motion for
I
the
move.
following resolution that was put forward. I'm sorry, I'm nervous.
Are you speaking about what we just said, or between myself and Bishop, or?
No, she's
placing the motion for you
on the floor. Yes.
Yeah,
floor.
I would like to place, help me here, Bishop Gonzalez. I would like to place a motion on.
On the floor.
Yeah.
To
go ahead, Debbie.
Allow a moratorium so that we can find out more information as to what transpired and move on to the next steps.
Okay, I would like to place a motion on the floor for a moratorium.
On the 5, you have to be specific about what it is. The 5
Right.
Can we use the one that I wrote?
Yes.
Okay.
Now we're talking about as a committee. You did that with other people. I just mentioned that to you. So let us do it
you
as
had
a
an
committee.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so
What
I
do you
can
think
send
about the
you
one that I wrote?
confused.
What do you think about the one that I presented last time? Are there any changes?
No. We are going to do this as a committee now, Ms. Westerdahl. So if you want me to do it for you, on behalf of the committee, I can do it.
Okay, so I'll just read the whole thing.
No.
No, it's.
Why
Go ahead,
can't
Debbie.
you use it as a
Let
draft?
me just put it out on the floor. I would like
Why
to
can't
put
you
it on the
use it
floor.
as a draft?
Let me put the moratorium,
Yes, I'd like to put the moratorium as a draft. Whereas New York City, through its Office of Technology and Innovation OTI has contracted with CityBridge to install and operate a citywide wireless communication network. And whereas CityBridge installed its Link NYC network, has an initial deployment of the citywide wireless communication network intended to replace outdated public payphones. And whereas Link NYC provided free 4G wireless cellular connectivity using towers placed on sidewalks throughout New York City, many of which include electronic display screens. And whereas Community Board 9 in Brooklyn and other communities throughout the New York City and constituents of their district have reported adverse impacts resulting from existing Link NYC infrastructure, including visual impacts, inappropriate usage, impacts on sidewalk clearances, and rat infestation. And whereas CityBridge is now in the process of upgrading its Link NYC network to Link 5G to accommodate technological upgrades that have recently become commonplace in cellular communications. And whereas Link 5G infrastructure is 32 feet tall tower that is installed on sidewalks in public right-of-way, and whereas 5G towers in commercial districts include electronic screens similar to those found on Link NYC kiosks that display advertising and public information. And whereas the design of the Link 5G towers has been approved by the Public Design Commission, and whereas Link 5G must adhere to sitting requirements determined by New York City Department of City Planning and must obtain Landmark Preservation Commission approval if sited in the historic districts. And whereas CityBridge and OTI installed 5G towers without notification and input from the residents and Community Board 9 in Brooklyn. And whereas CityBridge and OTI have proposed unknown number of sites across Community District 9, and whereas CityBridge and OTI have stated that the siting of proposed Link 5G towers in Community District 9 are based on gaps in coverage and locations where excess demand for the network exists as determined by commercial cellular carriers. And whereas where the currently proposed locations for 5G towers are not disclosed to residents in Community Board 9, whereas residents of Community Board 9 have strongly objected to the design and visual impacts that Link NYC towers would have on streetscape, both with and without screens. And whereas there are widespread concerns that 5G towers will be constructed at distances considered too close to adjacent buildings, as already occurred on Bedford. And whereas 10 feet of distance from tower to residence that is permitted is extremely insufficient and should be revisited as a policy. And whereas there are no reported issues by residents of Community District 9 of cellular gaps and frequent dropped calls that would justify Link 5G installed in the proposed locations. And whereas the proposed sites for Link 5G don't include any location in the area known to be potential digital deserts within Community District 9. And whereas OTI and CityBridge have not provided detailed plans, the full build out of Link 5G, both within Community District 9 and other parts of the borough. And whereas there is a desire for any telecommunication infrastructure to be buried underground, both for reliability purposes and to minimize visual impacts. And whereas there have been questions raised by some residents as to whether sufficient research has been performed to fully assuage concerns that the radiation emitted by 5G infrastructure won't have any long-term impacts on public health or the environment, including young children, seniors, people with medical implant devices, pets, plants, and parks. And whereas there have been concerns that the 5G towers pose safety risks, including combustion, accidents related to falling over of the 5G towers, and whereas the community at large has expressed their view that the Link 5G is unnecessary, the Link 5G is unnecessary and unwanted in Community District 9 in Brooklyn at present, until many of the issues identified have been resolved. Whereas New York City is in control of this process through its contract with the provider. Therefore, be it resolved, the Community Board 9 Brooklyn disapproves the proposal has presented to install Link 5G towers in Community Board 9, and be it further resolved that a moratorium be placed on construction and planning of Link 5G poles and devices in Community Board 9. Be it further resolved that the existing 5G are not activated and are removed. Okay, that's it. Thank you for listening.
Teresa, for how long?
So based on what I've heard, it boils down to, just getting a moratorium until we have, more information on,
Okay.
on this whole
Yes,
issue.
but I think
because it's very lengthy and,
But
drawn
I
out.
think but I think it actually addresses what Fred wanted. It really shows why you are doing the moratorium. It gives people information about why the moratorium is necessary. It talks about the concerns of the residents. It talks about, things that have not been done. It talks about the fact that, they haven't even been a presentation in our community. So I think that, resolutions are done so that it explains why you're taking a position. So I think that the resolution should stand as it is because it gives the explanation. And then when the board members get it, they'll know why, right? In the resolution, it shows what the concerns that have already been raised by people. I mean, everyone has raised all of these concerns. The guests here have raised those concerns. So I think it's a wonderful resolution. Congratulations, Tara, on producing that.
Especially when it speaks about the health.
Yes.
Which we don't know all about right now.
Right.
And we have Debbie has asked for some information on that some of our students are getting together. But the health problem is what needs to be addressed right now.
And that moratorium, that resolution speaks about that. So
Yes.
send it to the elected officials. They'll know what our concerns are. And then they should come back and address those concerns.
That's
What
right.
about the health issues? So I think it's a wonderful resolution and it's clear what they're asking for a moratorium.
I think if I can speak also, it's important too to understand that this resolution is other community boards have used it around the city. Like it's the wording, it makes it so that it's a concerted effort by not just our community board, but other community boards throughout the city that are reluctant and do not want this in their community. So it's a shared sentiment. And I think that the CB9 needs to realize that, we're not the only people doing this. It's been done before. You can find this resolution online if you're, so up in arms about, Tara having not written it. She wrote it using the template that other community boards have used to address this same issue.
Okay, let's bring it to the floor.
Well, she did. She said, wherefore I request a moratorium, but.
Does anyone else have any additional information to add to that? No. No.
Debbie, I think is what we really need to get time to look even deeper into the fact that we have not been properly notified, neither the board nor the committee. So we do need that time to get it.
That's why I said it should be where we make the moratorium to get more time to, get a sense as to what was done, what needs to be done. And, I guess work on making it happen.
Right.
We didn't hear from the committee. We didn't hear, based on what I heard, we did not hear from the residents of the community because they didn't get anything.
No
So
information.
That will be something to, put on there. And also, so that will be one of the things to put on there. Also, the fact that people are concerned about the health issues from the, I guess they call it rays or whatever it is, waves or whatever.
And the distance,
radiation.
Debbie. And
The distance. So
that they should be.
that's three things that I came up with already.
Right.
And what else?
Fires, they're fires.
And okay, so we can say fires.
And we don't know what's coming out of them because
And we don't know. So it's more or less just putting maybe at least 5 things out there so that, you know, we can focus on that. But I see the chair has his hand up, so let's hear what he has to, what input he wants to give. Go ahead, Fred.
No, thank you very much for that. Yeah, I think that in listening to it, there are definitely some things that I think I wholeheartedly agree with. Some things I'm probably more lukewarm, and some things I still have questions.
Yeah.
So I guess the only thing I would say to that is I think that really the crux of this is that there is a moratorium and their questions. I think that is sufficient for the board to take this action. I think that's really all you need to do. I think
Yeah,
in terms
thank
of the
you.
questions, yeah, in terms of the questions, those we can suss out, we can get those lists. And I think as you develop those, we can figure out what resources we need to bring to bear, if it's an elected official or if it's an actual agency, that we can work on separately. But I think it's sufficient for the committee to just say, listen, I think, you know, because there are significant questions that have not been, you know, that are still open with the community and significant concerns, we're requesting a moratorium while we are able to, you know, to get additional information and you know.
I think it should also, if you're going to reject her resolution, there should also be something about making sure that you have a hearing, that the community is invited, that information is disseminated to the community, and that the community have an opportunity to weigh in on this issue.
And that can be a
That
separate
was
piece.
part of
And
the
that-
remarks that I just
yeah,
said.
and that can be a total piece of the response. I mean, so again, I don't think you have to say, you know, in 20 days we're going to have this hearing, but definitely that, you know, that's something that the committee can do in that respect, in terms of, you know, we're probably going to have to address this from several different points. But I think if you at least vote on that,
well,
you can send the resolution draft, and I think that that's something that as a board we can look at and say, listen, at least initially, these are the 4 or 5 pieces that we're ready to move on in terms of we need to get this, and there'll be additional actions that the committee can recommend.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I agree.
So the 5 things.
I think it's just
So you're
appropriate
going
to just request the
it's really
moratorium.
important that you vote on something.
That you vote, just let us
Right.
vote.
Right.
Yeah, if you vote on the moratorium,
on
I think it's sufficient, and we can get the other reasons, and that can be worked
Exactly.
through the exec, and we can finalize that at the board.
So who's gonna write it? There's-
Doesn't need to
we'll
be simple,
put it
just make a
together.
motion, just make a motion. Yeah, I mean, we
Just
can
make
use
a-
your,
Someone second it?
So are
Just
you
make
moving
a
this?
motion and let someone second it.
Okay, so wait, the moratorium, the
I'd
time
like to
frame of
make
the
I'd like
moratorium.
to make a motion to
Excuse
pass
me,
the.
Ms.
following
Wessel, can I, hold
resolution.
on, please? Give me a minute.
What?
So the moratorium is for approximately what, 45 days, is it?
ask for
No,
moratorium.
you should
period.
not have
No.
it. You should not have a
No.
moratorium
Just ask for
that has
moratorium.
a timeline on it.
No time.
Okay, so
No
just, so
timeline.
just an open moratorium.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, and
Okay,
we'll fix the
until
points that
we
you need to
have-
have addressed before that's taken care of. But just.
I'm sorry?
you're fine. I'm sorry, I was saying, ask for a moratorium. You don't need to do 45 days, because if they say it'll take
Okay.
46, so we're not gonna stop anything, just ask for a
Right.
moratorium, and we will develop the questions that need to be answered for the board to be
Okay,
able to take
so,
the next
so
step.
let's just put
word,
the
favor,
motion
or
on the floor for moratorium, and then we'll develop the questions. Is that
So
fair?
the moratorium should be for any further deployment, any activation,
Right.
any more approvals.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so but the moratorium has to say that. You have to say that within the moratorium, within the language.
So active, okay, sure.
So, but the-
Activation. I'm writing, so.
Okay,
as I
the
get information-
activation, the deployment, the approval, and the installation of the 5G towers anywhere within CB9.
And that the
Okay.
existing 5G are not activated and are removed.
Okay, I hope Khalid is writing as well. So I have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, activation, deployment, approval, installation, and removal.
Yes.
5. So I'm putting this on the floor, this for a moratorium.
What's exactly, Khalid, do you have the exact language of the motion? Because that's going to be really important.
Yes, I do. Thank
Can
you.
you read it to us, please?
All right, just 1 second.
Okay, thank you, Khalid.
So I have deployment, activation, approval, installation, and removal of existing 5G towers.
Well, you have to say,
There has to be more than that.
it has to be a moratorium where we are.
So what we could say is that the Environmental Protection Committee of Brooklyn Community Board 9 urge that there be a moratorium, an open moratorium, or a moratorium.
On the
not
5G.
even a date, on the 5G.
Link 5G, link 5G.
On Link 5G, until we can get more sound information in terms of the, questions that we have at hand.
Right.
Well, not just the questions, but also
Well, the 5 things that
community,
we,
outreach to the community
and outreach.
hearings, if you're gonna start.
I would like to have this part in there, whereas the currently proposed locations for 5G towers were not disclosed to residents and the
It's making
community
it a lot
board
bigger. I
know.
think the point is we want the moratorium, all those details or most of those details be sussed out.
That's
So
right.
I think what's clear is you're going to ask for moratorium on the deployment or activation of
That's
any
right.
current, of any cell phone type.
Deployment,
of any,
activation,
5G.
approval, installation.
And
Right, and
removal.
we'll include those aspects of it. I think those will be
Installation,
included as
please put
part of it.
installation.
Can
Okay,
I,
so
can I
is
ask for a point
everyone-
of clarification? Are we
Yes.
just trying to get are we just trying to get the committee to approve the concept of a moratorium? We have a draft. And now Fred is saying that the executive committee will continue to wordsmith that draft to make sure that it's addressing the concerns, the questions and concerns, and that will be presented to the board in May?
I would
That's not
probably
exactly
leave
how it
no,
goes.
I would leave it to the
No.
committee to, if there's additional, you can forward the draft resolution for Teresa. So that way we can include those as, if you forward that to the executive committee along with
I already forwarded it.
Understood,
Okay. Khalid has it.
understood.
Okay.
As long as that is forwarded, we will consider that as well in terms of, drafting it and making sure that the language is appropriate.
Okay.
We'll vote on the exec. And again, at the actual board meeting, there'll be an opportunity to do amendments or if we need to make changes as well.
Okay. I
But
just
I
want to
think we
make sure
just
that
wanna
the
make sure
work.
the concept of the moratorium goes forward.
Okay, so,
And we can
Okay.
get the different questions. and
Okay,
everything.
Yeah,
so
I just don't want to
let's
duplicate
just
work, which is
confirm-
what's happening. Okay.
And I
The
want to
5
make sure that we're going to vote on this at the next community board meeting, that it just doesn't get bounced around back to us, back to EP again or anywhere else.
This is an action item that is going to be voted on eventually by this committee. And once that happens, that'll be
No,
considered. at the
no,
executive
by this committee, shouldn't it go to the board? It's going to come back to us?
It
No.
will- No, if you vote on this recommendation, well, no. It's going to stay in this committee in terms of there's going to be questions and actions. If there is a hearing warranted, you guys will make the recommendation for that. If there's additional questions or things that need to be discussed, I'm trusting the environmental committee will be able to do some of that work. And as we go along, you may have additional questions or things are resolved. It'll be a point of on your agenda for a while at least. But I think it's at the very least, I think we can get this to the executive committee. I think that there's a very strong sentiment in terms of, we do need to get some additional information, needs to make some action, and we can get that in front of the board. I fully expect. Now, obviously, I can't speak for the board, but I fully expect it'll go through the exec and it'll get to the board where there'll be discussion and we'll go out and we'll continue to address as a board.
Okay, so I'm confirming again with Khalid. You have activation, deployment, approval, installation, removal, and outreach, community outreach.
Yes.
Yes.
The need for
Hearing.
community outreach, for hearings and for info, and for, let's make sure that the community is
Okay,
involved.
so outreach includes,
Hearing.
input and hearing. Yeah.
Yes.
So do we all agree on this as a committee?
Ms. Timothy, can I raise a couple points just to make sure we have clarity? We don't want a moratorium on removals. because that would mean that if the company decided to remove a tower, then we would have a moratorium on removal. So I just want to make sure that the language is clear. That's not what we're aiming for. But the second point, which I think is highly important, is so we have this moratorium, and the committee agrees that they will recommend to the executive committee and then to the board a moratorium on installations of so on and so forth, however it's worded.
Right.
Where is the authority coming from to actually stop whoever is the contractor, the builder, from doing these things? So that's my first question. I just want to, make sure we're focused on what will be the end result of that. Will the moratorium have any real impact? So that's really important to make sure that it's effectuated. And the second question I have, and this is not just for the motion, but also the one thing we haven't talked about is equity in our community, whether or not our 70-some towers are similar to other communities in light of density. And again, I also want to just understand benefit. Who's benefiting from these towers? Is the community really going to benefit from the towers? So those are things I just want to make sure we keep our eye on: benefit and also equity for our community. But importantly, how the moratorium will actually have an impact in preventing the actual additional installation and building and so on and so forth. So those are my final comments for tonight. Thank you.
So
I think maybe
again,
Odette
let me just
might be able to answer
where
some of those questions.
you said in terms of the removal. Can you repeat what you said again?
So
please?
I was saying that you don't want a moratorium on removal, because what you're basically saying is that you want them removed. I'm not sure if we have the authority to do that, but it would not be a moratorium on removal. It would be
I would
and to
no
remove,
further installation
and removal of existing towers. So it would be basically two action items within the motion, not just the moratorium, if that's where you're going with it. So I just wanted to have a clarity in the language on that.
I think Odette can address some of what you are asking, Ms. Chase, because she has been spearheading this issue, and she's supposed to be speaking with Eric Adams, as a matter of fact, in the next couple of weeks about this.
Yes.
Okay, so I see some hands up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Odette's hand's been up for quite some time.
Okay, go ahead, Odette. And
Thank you so much. Yes, we are having a meeting with Mayor Adams on May 17th at noon, and we're going to have representation from a large cross-section of people in New York City who are opposed to the Link 5G towers. Now, with respect to the resolution that Tara has proposed, that is very similar to the resolution that was proposed in many community boards. And there was also a lot of questions that were posed by East Harlem Community Board. And, basically that they have questions about all of these things. And it wasn't really set out as a resolution, but that we have all of these questions. And, they wanted a moratorium ultimately, but, or disapproval. But what she's proposed is very similar to what you're proposing as well, Debbie. And so I would recommend that you look at her proposal because it's very well framed. It actually identifies the principles that OTI is operating under, and it acknowledges and it shows that you understand that these are the principles they're operating under and that you have questions regarding those principles. And I think Teresa really presented them very clearly. So I would recommend that you really take a look and see if you can adopt most of that. And I'm not really sure what the chair's hesitation is or the disagreement is on particular parts of Tara's resolution, and perhaps those can be addressed. But basically, it's very similar to what many other community boards have passed.
okay, thank you for your input. Theodora, and then Ms. McManus, and then the chair. Theodora.
I was going to mention that there is, in terms of questions that you might have to get more information, I had written a letter to the New York City OTI asking about radio frequency, like what are the levels, what are the antennas, probably a lot of questions that have come up in this call, as well as what is the benefit to the community, as was just brought up, where's the need in terms of internet. I'm sorry about all the ambient noise. Here I am in the living room and
I don't hear anything.
Okay.
good.
Mhm.
So if, so I would be glad to forward that to someone, so you have all of these questions. And OTI is not answered. Done foils, I know Odette has done foils. These questions, it's been now months. I know it's been years for you, or over a year. But they really are key issues.
Okay.
I'll make sure you get that. And then the second thing, just
Yeah.
want to real quick, is that in Massachusetts, there are two communities, Sheffield and Great Barrington, that just voted to stop all and 5G installations until the federal government completed the inquiry. Basically, we filed a lawsuit against the FCC about the lack of safety data. Actually, we filed that they hadn't adequately looked at their limits, like how much radiation is allowed. The FCC, it's been over a year and a half, they have not responded. In other words, there's no proof of safety. There's no government entity that's looked at everything that has opined that this is safe based on an up-to-date research review. So I just want to communicate that other communities have said, we want it halted until the US government can complete this review adequately. And I wanted to put that out there into your decision-making process.
Okay, thank you so much for your input. Ms. McManus?
Yes, I wanted to add to the same idea that I guess Theodora just addressed, to suggest a phrase, something like a moratorium until it is clear that the cumulative exposure is safe for our community. The cumulative exposure to 5G radiation safe for our community.
Thank you. Mr. Baptiste?
Yeah, just very quickly, I think 2 points to what Ms. Chase had said. In terms of the authority of the board, as has been pointed out on a number of occasions, we have none. We're advisory. But with that being said, I think the job and the role we play with this is that if we craft, if we really just kind of, advocate for the community and craft the questions and demand the accountability, that's the start. Ultimately, the decision is going to come down to Office of Telecommunications and Innovation, OTI, and the mayor. So that's ultimately where it's going to go. But I think the effect that we have here is that if we're, we really ask the tough questions, we really demand that accountability. That is the role we play in that, in terms of hopefully forcing, a real conversation around that. And to your second point about the equity piece, that's the piece that actually rests within the board, in terms of we need to make that judgment and we need to do the evaluation of, is it equitable? So that is the conversation. That is something that is probably going to rest as part of the conversations within this committee. But absolutely, those are the questions that we're saying that, as the board chair, as part of the leadership, the current leadership, that's what we look to the committees to do, is to ask those questions and kind of develop that. So that way, when we go back to the full board, those questions have already kind of been vetted and kind of framed for the board when we're able to do this. And I say this, and I know that there's been a frustration about why we don't do things at the board, or the board doesn't vote. It's because I think we're on for about an hour and a half, going on 2 hours now, and we see how we've done it here. To do it with 49 other people on the line, and especially when you have a whole board that you have to run, it's more difficult. So, I mean, I know it's a tougher process, and I know that, there might be some frustration with it, but really this is the place that we have to do this that's most effective. And this is where we're able to distill these things, so that way we can bring it to the larger board and be fully informed and get people informed and really, kind of, craft the path forward for
Thank you.
the district.
Okay. Okay, Ms. McManus, I see your hand up again. Is that pertaining to a question again, or? Thank you. Anyone else has any comments or inputs?
I think that this board needs to start thinking about doing resolutions that Tara has done, because it really gives a lot of clarity about why you're taking a position. It really talks about the issues that are concerns. And I still am a little confused about why that resolution cannot be passed here tonight. You know, it's very clear as there, you know, if there's an issue with something within that resolution that needs to be changed, then let's go ahead and talk about that change right now. But I don't understand why we cannot pass a resolution that's really clear and it shows the concern. Because otherwise you're just going to get a blanket statement saying that you want a moratorium until more information comes. And we want to make sure that it's a hearing. And how much information is that actually providing to the general board members when they go have to have a vote? And then it's based upon the interpretation of whatever Fred seems to interpret it, because he will dominate that conversation. And I don't think that it does justice to the particulars of this issue. It doesn't really tell the community board members exactly what are the concerns and what are the issues that have been raised at this meeting. If there's something in that resolution that you feel like is inappropriate, then let's talk about it, because that's what we're here for. But I don't understand why that resolution can't be passed.
I'd like to make a motion to pass the resolution as written with one minor change. There has, instead of,
Point of order, I
whereas
think
there has
there's
been a
there's already a
5G
motion on the
towers,
floor. Point of order.
No,
there's a
there
motion
has
on the
not
floor.
been a motion
There's
on
a
the floor.
motion on the
Nobody
floor.
nobody seconded it. Nobody
Excuse
seconded
me,
it.
excuse me, can I chair this meeting, please? Thank
The
you.
motion has to be second in order.
Okay,
for-
can you all mute your mics, please? Thank you. So, okay, so the motion, there was a motion on the floor.
It was not second.
Chair, you wanted to comment on?
Well, let's just address that point. I thought it was moved. Khaled, did you have a second on that? Did you hear a second?
No, I didn't.
No, there was no second.
Okay, so Madam Chair, call for a second. If there's a second, then that's the business on the floor. If there's no second, it dies and you move on.
No, I'll call for the second.
But you're the one who put the motion on the floor, so.
Okay, so I'll second the motion. Thank you.
even know what we're voting on. It's not clear. Khalid,
So
could you read the motion?
So I believe what we said last was that we would request a moratorium until we have more information that includes the outreach to the residents, allowing them to give input. And then we would come up with the questions pertaining to, how we want to ask those questions as a committee.
I think it needs to be very clearly written, like what it says. It seems like the motion that Bishop Gonzalez put on the floor is different from what Debbie's saying, Debbie Timothy.
No, I didn't put a motion.
If I could request, Khaled, Khaled, could you read the motion that you recorded?
The one just now, or?
Yeah, the one previously, yeah. The one we're working.
Okay, because, all right. Request a moratorium till we have more information that includes the outreach from the EP committee to come up with these questions, have hearings, deployment, activation, approval, installation, and removal of existing links, 5G links, tower links.
That's not a proper motion.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
You have to first ask for what it is that you want. You're requesting a moratorium.
So we are requesting a moratorium.
On what?
For more time, a moratorium on the Link 5G network for more time to get more information, clarification on, the things that the residents are expressing concerns about.
If you have to say what the moratorium is, the
Yeah,
moratorium.
like the moratorium to be placed on construction, planning of
On
Implementation.
activation, deployment, approval, installation. And
Can I just ask a favor? Miss
May-
Chase is a board member.
Celeste?
Celeste Chase is a board member and she's also an attorney. Is it possible that she can frame the motion so that it's clear to
She's
ensure that the intention?
Not a committee member.
Well, she doesn't have to be a committee member in order to help you formulate the motion. She's not pushing the motion on the floor. She's just helping to.
Yeah, it's
create
just
it.
helping write it, so
Right,
we,
she's just
so
helping
it's
to create
proper,
it.
because she
And she
really
is a board member,
understands the
so
law too.
So that way it's clear, because right now there's that what is being
It's a
said is
disconnect.
not effective.
Yes, it
So it would take me days to write the motion because I'm at work every day, so I'm gonna be really honest with you.
No, I was talking about right now.
No.
Maybe
You
like
are taking
one
it somewhere
sentence.
else.
Yeah.
So, but what I would suggest, I mean, I do think that the motion is quite long. But I do believe that the motion gets the job done and you have something that's already there as opposed to crafting something that is misses the mark. So although my preference would not be to have the motion that Tara read, I think, to get the job done and to move on tonight, you probably should just move that to be the motion and try to get your committee members to vote on it and then move on. That would be my suggestion to you, because writing a motion about something important like this, where in this time frame, it's just not at 10 o'clock, 9:15 at night, it's just not doable. So use the motion you have, try to get people to agree to it, and see if you can get it out of the committee. That would be my suggestion.
Just curious, what's the aversion to it? Am I missing something? What don't you like about it?
I don't
Okay,
personally have any aversion
okay.
to it, but I would just say it's very long to get the job done. But I don't
It is.
personally have an
That's
aversion
that's
to
my
it.
sentiment,
But
yeah.
what I would say, because it's already there and it gets the job done, go ahead and use it. So that would
Right.
be my point. But
Yeah,
personally,
Celeste, I meant
no aversion. I
for
just think it's
Debbie,
just-
Debbie
Oh, okay.
Timothy, and
Oh,
it's
okay.
okay. Sorry, I
All right,
wasn't.
but
I
yeah,
didn't clarify.
but if I
And
had
for
written it, it would be
Fred.
quite long. So, and
Yeah.
I think people's attention span is not quite that, for emotion.
It's the 5G.
I agree, yeah.
It's a lot, but
Mhm. Okay, so, Chair, I believe you wanted to say something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the other resolutions that I read that other boards wrote were maybe twice as long as this. So this is like half, like,
Understood, but I think
But for
I mean,
this-
if I could.
Go ahead, go ahead.
I think ultimately what sounded like came here is that I think everybody agrees there's a moratorium. And I
Yes.
think what
Yes.
they're asking for in the moratorium is that, there is a cessation of any installation approvals, activations, while the committee and the board, develop questions and get answers to questions and, to the questions and concerns of the community. I think ultimately that's it. Some of the other materials can be incorporated, I think, from the resolution. It's kind of hard to do when we don't have it in front of us, but I think that once we have that, be able to incorporate that. And by the time it gets to the board, we will have at the very least, a request for a moratorium from this board for those activities that we just talked about. And there will probably be the incorporation of some of those additional aspects. Could be some, could be all, could be whatever it is. But that, I think, you don't necessarily need to deal with at this time. We'll be able to get that by the board meeting and have that approved.
Can I add just a little bit to this? So because based on what you said, Fred is the chair of the board, and Debbie, also respectful of you as the chair of the committee. But what you've said is that the power that we have comes in really trying to get, I guess, elected officials to make sure that this isn't done. And so because the motion as written, that will be your audience. And so that's where I think that the motion as written has some benefit. Of course, listening to it and reading it is two different things. And so I couldn't really focus as much as I would want to hearing it because it's so much, but I think it will serve the benefit of taking it to politicians and saying, this is what the board has, this is how the board has spoken. So I don't want to bypass the fact that I do think it has some benefit going forward. And so maybe, you pass it as is and use it as you kind of lobby, whether it's council persons or the mayor or whomever. And that's where the benefit lies. And because it's similar to or the same as other boards, that's also where you get the benefit that you are speaking to these elected officials and this one voice. So that's kind of my opinion on it. So I just wanted to add that for, just give a second or third opinion to it.
Thank you. So Fred, you had something else to add?
I completely agree with
Go ahead.
Ms. Chase. I think that, when you have a resolution as thorough as this and other boards have done it, and you're going to elected officials, that brings more power to the table because you are basically very clear about what it is that you're complaining about. You're very clear about knowing all of the important pieces of information. And so I think, like one was saying, well, what is this going to do? What is the moratorium? Are they going to listen to you? Well, they'll listen to you if you present something that as thorough as this, and you have some power here because you're collectively now joining a group of people who are fighting this fight all over New York City, and your voice is going to be heard. So I completely agree with Ms. Chase that what's right now, let's go ahead and let the committee vote on what's you already have it. It's right there.
Bishop, do you have any input as a committee member?
I definitely agree that we should move on and just do the vote and get it done. We need to get this horse on the race. So we just need to bring the motion to the floor and vote. That's where we are now.
Okay, so let me be correct. Are you speaking about the latter motion or
Teresa's resolution?
Or the one that Teresa spoke about?
Well, I think
we need to be clear.
I think they'll both come together at some point, because when we're looking for more information, we can add to what Teresa said, or we can subtract from what we have, but we need to get the horse out of the gate.
So I think the motion, as I presented it, addresses all your concerns. Everyone's concerns.
So will somebody second her motion?
So I believe that there's a motion on the floor already.
A motion on the floor for the resolution that I read, that Teresa, myself,
No,
read.
the one that we spoke about just now that Khalid read.
But that's not
That didn't make
So
sense.
what was said before was that we can probably extract some information from whatever you put out there, and the other people that I guess assisted you with that, and add to what we have. I believe that was one of the suggestion or recommendation that the chair made when he spoke earlier, and I kind of agree with that as well.
What?
Yeah.
That's not really how it works. That's not how we.
Can you ask him to read it again then? Because I was sitting here, I barely understood what he was saying. Could you read that again then?
Are you speaking about Khalid? Khalid?
Yes, I'm asking if
Motion
Khalid
that-
could read it
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Because what you talked all over him, you did whatever, and I've heard picky pat and this and that. So could you just read it from the top to the bottom, and then you could get a second on this, please?
Okay,
Thank
I'm gonna read back what was said. Yes, hello. An open or moratorium on the board to develop questions on deployment, activation, approval, and installation of existing 5G towers. The committee will also propose outreach to the community and hearings to the community to gain more information on the 5G towers.
See, that
It's
first.
not thorough. It's not
provide them
clear.
with
What do
more
you?
information on
You gotta have a motion that makes sense, guys.
Doesn't make, it's not really like.
Oh my God.
Okay, let me make this simple.
We've got
Colin,
shit to
I
write
went
do.
to
this down.
classes for
Colin,
this and
Colin,
that's
Colin.
not how.
Okay,
it-
go ahead,
Listen
Fred.
to me, write this down. Bishop Gonzalez, if this is not what you want, then you let us know. Because I believe you're the maker of the motion. The
Okay,
motion
so-
is from the committee. Listen, the motion
No,
is
I
from the
didn't make the
committee.
motion.
Go ahead.
No,
Well,
she didn't.
We're
Who
writing.
What are you
made the motion?
talking
Who's-
about?
Who made
Okay,
the motion?
hello, can we
I
have
made the
some,
motion.
hello? Can we
You
have
made the,
some,
you made the motion?
excuse me, can we mute all mics right now, please?
I think I
Thank
made the
you.
motion.
Can we, Teresa, I'm asking you to,
Then-
let
Then
him,
let's go back, because there was a motion on the floor. The essence of the motion on the floor, Colin, write it down so that we can review. Motion on the floor of the Environmental Protection Committee is that CB9 request a moratorium on the approval, deployment, let me see, activation of all 5G towers within the district. And a further request for the removal of any currently cited. I believe that was part of the motion.
yes.
Okay,
I don't think
the
Fred-
committee will continue
He's-
to
you know,
develop questions and gather information.
Yes,
As well as do outreach to the community
to the
along with the
community,
hearing.
yes.
Yeah,
You
public
keep
hearing.
forgetting that, Fred. I don't understand why you keep forgetting that.
Yeah.
I'm old and tired.
Okay,
Thank you.
so,
Add that, please, Colin. Do you have it?
Yes, I do have it.
And does it say
you-
the
hold on,
existing are not activated?
hello,
That was
Right, it
part of the
says
motion.
activation. I think
I
he
did
used
say
the word
activation.
activation.
Not activated and are removed.
A moratorium on activations, yes, and the removal
Could-
part was included.
A
Hold on, hold on.
moratorium
Hold
placed
on, hold
on
on. No, Teresa,
construction
hold on,
and-
hold on, Teresa.
Teresa, please.
Teresa, hold on. Colin, can you please read back what I just said so that way it's clear for everyone? And if there needs to be any changes, they'll make it.
Motion on the floor by the Environmental Protection Committee is that CB9 requests a moratorium of approval, deployment, activation of all 5G towers in the district and further request any further information on 5G
Further
towers.
requests the removal of any currently cited.
Removal. Thank you. Removal of any
Okay.
on site,
Right. Of any currently cited,
currently cited.
SITED.
Yeah.
And what was the next part of that?
The committee will continue to gather information.
Okay,
And
And provide outreach and,
Yeah,
And
and
hearings.
and hearings.
public hearings.
yes, and in
Provide
the
outreach.
public.
I make a motion, I vote on that.
Yes, I second.
We just need to make sure that the language is clear. So
Okay,
Ali, could you read it again? So we know what is being voted.
It'd be really helpful if this could be in chat. You know, this is where chat would be really important. So we could see the language, because it's difficult for some people to,
Colin,
I'm
can you
sorry, but
please
it's
read the
difficult.
motion?
thank you, Ms.
Colin, can
Westerdahl,
you-
please, Ms.
Colin, can you-
Westerdahl.
Well,
Can you
just,
read
it's
the motion back,
important.
please?
It's
Motion
just
up, hello?
so-
Can
Ms.
Ms.
Westerdahl, Ms.
Westerdahl-
Westerdahl, let's
For
get through
some
this
people
business.
to see
We're not
things
debating
rather
chat
than
right
hear
now. We're
them.
trying to get the
you know?
moratorium vote.
Please, please.
Colin, go ahead, please.
Yeah, let me
Please reread. Thank you.
Motion on the floor by the Environmental Protection Committee is that CB9 requests a moratorium on any approval, approval, deployment, and of all 5G towers in the district, and further request of
And
any
activation,
removal,
and activation.
activation.
Right, please do it again. You have to put deployment, approval, activation,
Deployment, approval, activation of all 5G towers. in the
installation,
district,
installation.
And it has to say link,
Installation,
link 5G, LINK 5G.
Okay,
please.
Ms.
link
Okay.
5G
We'll get-
towers in the district, and any further requests of removal of any currently cited. The committee will
And
provide outreach
request the removal, and request
and
the
request,
removal. And
and
request
request
the
the
removal.
removal of all currently cited. Committee will provide outreach and public hearings to the community.
Request the removal of all 5G towers that have been installed.
All
Not
currently
cited.
cited.
All
Not
currently cited.
Not cited, installed.
Cited, installed, yeah. If they're currently put somewhere, they're asking them to remove.
So
I
installed.
think cited could
But-
mean like they have a site that they.
That
Right.
they are
It's cited.
proposing.
If you
Okay,
use the
okay,
word
okay,
site, like
okay,
it's
hello.
like a site,
Well,
like
Hello.
SITE, is that what you're trying to say, site?
SITED.
Yes.
Cited.
Right, yes.
Could you use another word, because that could be
We're,
confusing.
we're getting crazy.
No,
We've got the
Installed.
gist. No, no, no.
You're being
Hello,
We've got the
hello,
gist of
hello.
this.
Fred,
Crazy isn't
Fred,
a good word.
Language is
Appropriate
important
language.
because cited could mean that they put their plan is to put one there. So to just say that are currently installed makes it clear.
They
English
are.
is precise. So if we say cited, that doesn't, that
We-
to some people that may not mean
Okay.
what's been
Let's
installed.
play the word game. Currently cited. So if it's not there, it's not current.
Currently installed. What's wrong with the word installed, Fred?
If you want installed,
Thank you. Thank you. It is what we want. Thank you, Fred. I'm glad.
Okay,
I'm
so-
sure.
Can I read it back?
Yeah, Khalid,
This is
one more
crazy.
time, please.
Okay, motion on the floor by the Environmental Protection Committee is that CB9 requests a moratorium on any approval, deployment, activation, installation of all link 5G towers in the district, and further, and request their removal of any currently installed. Committee will provide outreach and public hearings to the community.
Can I answer?
Okay.
Okay,
Jay?
Can I say something? please? I'm sorry.
quickly,
Hold on,
please,
hold on,
for the
hold
sake
on.
of time.
Before
Okay.
you do that, is that the motion on the floor?
Yes,
I don't think it said to gather information. Did I miss that?
You said conduct public hearings and outreach.
Yeah, but it didn't say to gather information. Isn't that
That-
one of your things?
That is additional things we're gonna take care of. And those are the things we will make sure we include as part of the exec and by the time it gets to the board. It doesn't have to be
Okay.
perfect right now. We will get it there. We'll
Okay.
get to it. We'll get it better.
We hope that this more.
Hold on,
this-
hold on. So that is the motion on the floor. Is it agreed? Who moved on?
Yes.
So,
I second the motion.
no, who moves on?
Who puts the motion on the?
Oh,
Somebody has to put the motion on the floor. Now that we
okay,
have,
so I put the motion on the floor, so Bishop, Teresa, you can.
I don't think
second.
the chair can put a motion on.
Yeah, we should
Right.
probably let another
Okay,
member.
so,
Bishop
ahead.
Gonzalez, are you willing to put that motion on the floor? Are you okay? with
yes,
that?
I put the motion on the floor.
Okay,
Okay.
Khalid, please
As the
note it for
board
the
member,
record.
can I second
No,
it? As a
committee
board
member,
member?
committee member.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
committee member Bishop Gonzalez, Hamilton Gonzalez, put it on the floor. Committee member wants a second. Who are the committee members?
I am, and
But you can't
the
second. it.
chair can't, but I can.
You cannot
Hold on.
second. it.
Let's have a little bit of fun here. Hold
Well,
on.
well.
It's only 3 people.
There's only
just
3
gonna
people
say-
here, the resident
No.
committee members.
Chair,
So,
the tower has to
Hold
second.
on. Can we just let Teresa put the motion? I will second it. Let's go.
If she wants to. Teresa, do you want to put this motion on the floor?
I want to put my motion on the floor.
Oh, good.
Can you guys second that one instead? That would be great.
All right, listen, I mean.
It's really
Madam Chair-
better.
Chair,
Would you
listen,
second my motion, Bishop?
I'm sorry, Teresa.
Teresa, there's a motion on the floor. Can we move forward with this for the sake of time? It's 9:33.
And I have to prepare myself for work tomorrow. Thank you. We will do whatever is necessary to get whatever else needs to be in place. You know, once this motion is on its way, at least we got something started as a committee, because there was nothing before this. Thank you.
The choice is, do you want the moratorium or do you want your motion?
So you're not going to do the moratorium if it's on her motion. So you're bullying her to take your motion. Is that
I'm
what's
not bullying
happening here?
anybody. I'm not bullying anyone. I'm saying
okay.
is,
Hello, hello.
Hello, good night.
Can we have some, you know? consensus?
Bishop, will you second Teresa's motion?
Yeah, why not? We need to get
Okay.
on.
Then there we go.
All right, thank you.
So her motion is on the floor. And
My motion's on the floor and.
And it was seconded.
But isn't there already a motion on the floor? How you put
yeah,
another
but
one on?
it did,
No, no,
it did
no.
not
If
pass.
there's
It
not
did
a
not
second-
get
if
second.
there's- if
So
there's
it
not a
did,
second,
it
then-
died. It died. It's no longer in action. So Teresa's motion is now on the floor. It's been seconded by Ms. Gonzalez.
Dallas, yes, yes.
Thank you.
And now you vote. Let's vote, please.
I vote yes.
There are only three of us?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. I vote yes.
okay. So we, you know, we'll just go with that. What else?
Do you
Is it
vote,
up to the-
Debbie? Do you vote? Can you vote?
Yeah,
Do you vote yes or no?
if you're not gonna vote on the one before, it doesn't make sense to prolong this further. You know, I mean, it's just, you know, playing a game here that I'm not willing to continue at 9:35 PM. So let's go with that.
Okay, so it's 3.
Okay, then you have to have, how many people abstain?
There's only three
Nobody
of
else.
us.
Three people.
There's
Oh,
only three
'cause
of
I was
us.
getting ready
But you
vote
have to make
too,
it
but
legal.
I can't
This is
vote.
a public meeting. You have to make it legal. There are public
Yes.
meeting laws that we follow in this state. So if you teach us, you send us to class and you tell us how to do it. And then when we get to do it, you're telling me, oh, you're gonna just do it any rip run and run riot. So let's not do that.
You're so right, Julia.
Thank you.
So any abstentions? Any
No,
no's?
I vote yes.
So there's no no's or
Committee
no
members, committee
abstentions
members.
because there's no
Okay,
one else.
so Khalid,
Oh,
you
sorry,
have
sorry.
the vote, right, Khalid? You have the recording vote, no abstentions, no no's, 3 yeses.
And these are all committee members, no
And this is
resident
for
members.
Teresa's resolution. The one that she read out.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so there it goes.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Khalil,
Congratulations,
Teresa.
congratulations, committee, congratulations. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Congratulations. I'm really
You did it,
surprised, but I'm
everyone.
really pleased.
Yes.
Okay, so
Debbie, you really
gonna
had a
put some
hard meeting.
love. Thank you so much,
I'm
Debbie.
hello, hello,
Thank
hello,
you so
can,
much, Ms.
hello.
Gonzalez.
Meeting
Thank
is
you,
not
thank
over.
you.
Can we?
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you
Okay,
for love.
so we have moved to the next step here, and I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting now because I believe there's no more business on here to discuss, no more new business, unless someone else has some other business that they want to talk about.
I want to
But
mention,
it's-
I would like to mention one thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, the EP committee, Martina was on here before. I was hoping we'd do this before she left, but you remember she got the grant? And that grant is still available to write if somebody wants more. She and Christian LeBeau got a grant to install a garden. And they did that. I brought it up a couple of times. They did that. It was wonderful. And yesterday, the city came and they ripped out the garden. They ripped it out behind the McDonald's. And luckily, my husband happened to be there and we ran down the street and we rescued the plants. So the plants from that Environmental Protection Committee grant that Christian wrote, Martina, Victoria, that she, I guess, brought it forth, made sure was destroyed by the city basically, but we still have some plants that we're gonna try a new spot. So just wanted everybody to know about.
Okay, thank
what
you
we were
for the
working on.
information. And Jay, you had your hands up before we
Yes.
adjourn the meeting?
Yes, I realize it's late. I wanted to just say something that's important. With regard to the environmental effects, to pick up on something that Alicia said in terms of the comment periods, that we should be making comments when comment periods come. Vital Brooklyn has all these various different projects in the southeast part of the district, which is a target racial inclusionary TRIE area, low income minority area, has all these different projects, $700 million worth of stuff there. And we had an environmental impact. They're doing environmental impact statements. There was a hearing, there was a comment period, and it's rare that you have an EIS. No, there's going to be no comments from this community board on it. And it's unfortunate that the housing committee, 4 out of the 5 of the past months have been canceled. The land use committee doesn't want to deal with it. So in terms of the environmental effects going forward for new business, I would ask that people be vigilant on the comment periods. On Utica Crescent, there's a comment period on all of these. And just to tell you what the concern is in terms of displacement in that area, just very quickly, I'll just take 10 more seconds.
Okay, your 2 minutes is up, Jay.
Can I conclude this? I put in like 50 hours and people haven't done things. So can I
Your
just?
2 minutes is up, so you have to make
Can
it really quick.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. There's going to be 1,047 new units with only 30 parking spaces. 1,047 new units in terms of all the proposed construction with only 30 parking spaces. The existing homeless beds, which are at 868, they're going to add on. Around 700. So that area is in for a very big surprise, in terms of displacement, because they rely upon cars, and no one's doing anything. So I hope this environmental committee can maybe get involved, because no one's involved, and I hope for.
Did you submit any information to the board office?
No, I did my own stuff. I'm not going to. The board stuff.
Well, why don't you share the information with the board?
I will. I have a website which I'll share, which is completed on the regular. I'm doing the mobile version of it. I'll share it with everybody, and it's going to have everything on it.
Okay, thank you for your information. Just send the information to the board office, and I'm sure that they will include it in the weekly information.
So we'll
that
talk
they
about
send out.
that in the
Okay.
next EP meeting. We'll talk about that in the next EP meeting then? Can we put it on? the
Okay,
agenda?
so
We have
your
not
hand is
even-
still up?
Teresa, we have not even stepped foot deep into what we need to do. So maybe we can think that over before we decide tonight we're gonna jump there. What I
Yes.
wanted to say
So-
is thank you, Teresa, for the work that you have done. Thank you, Debbie, for your patience, and for our chairman being there, and for Miss what's her name, that is always on with us. I can't, her name just left my head, that we were able to work through with this. Thank you, Debbie, for that leadership. We
Thank
have
you.
done it. We have done it. Now we're gonna move forward.
Thank you.
Ms. Boyd.
Everyone,
That's
yes,
who
for
I
their
wanted.
input.
Oh.
and-
Also, thank
Ms.
you,
Boyd,
Ms.
yeah.
Ms. Boyd, I couldn't remember
Okay,
your
Ms.
name.
It's
Baptiste, you
okay.
had
It's
something to say?
okay.
But we moved,
Okay.
we moved. And
You know-
when we have our hearing, I want all these people to come to the
Oh, they
hearing.
will?
You know, come on out and let's support Debbie and get
Exactly.
things done.
That's right.
Because we're
Come
picking
out and
up a
support the
ball.
community if they are very that interested in
Oh,
what's
don't
going
worry.
on.
We're gonna do our
Yeah.
outreach. You trust
Okay.
me. We're gonna do our outreach.
Okay,
Okay, the chair has a few words he wants to say. Thank
No,
you.
just very quickly. So I think, again, I think the moratorium piece is the one thing, but you need to start thinking right now about what the next follow-on items are going to be, and if there are specific questions or information that you need. So start compiling that information so that way the board can move. If there are resources you need, if there are requests for information you need, or if there are people you need to come and participate, let's get that list together so we can start moving through the district office and they can start coordinating that.
Well, I would say the first thing is you need to OTI to come to this community and do a presentation. and answer questions.
Or is it OTI or OT9?
No, OTI.
OTI.
Yeah,
Oh,
when I
okay.
went, when I
They
went,
need, yeah,
The
they need to
Office of
come.
Telecommunication.
Innovations and innovation.
Yes,
When
they
I
need
went
to
to,
come, they need to do a presentation, they need to answer our questions.
Well, I mean, it's 9:43. I'm saying is
That's the
the
first.
committee, y'all can do that and just start compiling that so that way we can get that to the.
yeah, the OTI and Link NYC City Bridge came to the other community board meetings. They all came. So, and Jamani Williams, he came. And we could probably get the mayor to come too, because I guess they're gonna meet with him next week. So, yeah.
Okay, so thank you guys for your input.
Thank you, Debbie.
And for,
Thank you,
welcome.
Debbie.
Yes,
Appreciate
so
it.
I am going to put a motion on the floor to adjourn this meeting at this time.
And I second.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Have a good
Bye.
night,
Good night,
everyone.
everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Everyone have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.